Welcome to Leadership Devotionals. Today we will be concluding our study on women leaders. And it took us, just imagine this, it took us nine episodes to finish our study on women leaders in the Bible. The leadership principles evidenced in the lives of these 5 Old Testament characters that we have studied are consistent with the leadership principles found woven throughout the narrative, instruction, and prophecies of scriptures. They are not isolated revelations. Their stories remind the thoughtful reader of the power of vision and of the process of inspiring others by communicating that vision. The characters demonstrate confidence in the providence and in the calling of God. So, dear leaders, these are the lessons, the leadership principles that we can get when we studied women leaders in the Bible. They show unusual discernment of right and of justice. They act with physical and even intellectual strength. Instead, it is courage emerging from submission to a higher purpose. It is evidence in persuasion and dedication. And here, they express collegiality. Yes, they can always adapt and get along well with the people around them. They express collegiality, a sense of belonging to a community beyond themselves. And one final leadership lesson should be noted here. These 5 characters are all females whose stories help us understand leadership in a context across centuries of history when women were generally not empowered in their culture. Yes, we know that in the ancient Near East, women are not even counted during census. It's just the men. They are not empowered in their culture. But it suffices us to see here that God calls women to leadership positions even at a time when it was dominated by men. To grasp this lesson, consider that many other women were noted as leaders in similar ways in the scriptures. Hannah initiates an act of worship though her husband is a Levite. The wise woman of Tekoa is sought to instruct David in a complex situation, assuming the highly regarded role of a sage. New Testament women follow also the same tradition. The Gospel of Luke, the only biblical book written by a Gentile, highlights many women. For example, he records the 84-year-old widow Anna as the prophetess who announces the birth of Jesus in the capital city of Jerusalem. She spoke of him to all those who look for redemption in Jerusalem, and that's recorded in Luke 2 verse 38. The first apostle to the Samaritans, okay? The first person to witness to the Samaritans, to evangelize the Samaritans, was a Gentile woman, was a Samaritan woman. So much so that eventually they, referring to the Samaritans, said to the woman, "Now we believe." Definitely, at first, she was the one who spoke to them. And after inviting them to see Jesus, they declare this, "Now we believe, not because of what you said, for we have heard for ourselves and know that this man is indeed the Christ." Paul acknowledges many women in ministry in the last chapters of Romans. One of those is Phoebe, whose servant of the Lord translation hides her role as a deacon. and deacons were preaching and baptizing at that time, and not just, gathering offerings, just like what's happening today. The book of Acts speaks of the church at Philippi being organized by women. And we can also read this in Acts 16, verse 11 to 15. This occurred at a time when Jewish men were still thanking God that they were not born women. But who organized the church in Philippi? It's the women. The new church becomes a great political, gender, and ethnic equalizer, as recorded in Galatians 3 verse 27 to 29, and echoes the original plan of God in Eden. What was God's original plan? Let them, referring to male and female, let them have dominion. They should rule together. They should rule equally. That was God's original plan for men and women. Fulfilling God's promises to Adam and Eve, and eventually repeating this to Abraham, of the covenant blessing to be extended to the whole world. And the psalmist is right. The Lord gave the word. Great was the company, literally of females in Hebrews, if you read this in the original text, of those who proclaimed it. And you can find this in Psalm 68 verse 11. What unique leadership understanding does this plethora of women in the account of scriptures provide? The lesson on the principle is so apparent that the casual reader may miss its importance. The essential core of equality of all human life is grounded in the character of God. It is apparent that God does not discriminate between men and women, between male and female, in those moments when He calls and blesses the leadership of women. Our usual arguments about how humans view male or female, or about how gender roles express themselves in culture, pale before the significant insight in the character of God. He blesses both the leadership of male and female. That's very important. And our study in the last 9 episodes shows this character of God. He values all human creation, gives them, calls them, and utilizes their lives in His service. Racial, personal, or gender differences do not create inequality in the view and purposes of God's calling. Equality in the spiritual realm and in the presence of God transcends intellectual capacity, physical strength or energy, talent, physical distinctiveness such as ethnicity, race, or gender. All of this transcends. God transcends over all of this. Equality in the spiritual realm and in the presence of God transcends all of this. Isn't that inspiring to realize that we serve a God who looks at us equally and who empowers us equally, who calls us equally, and utilizes both male and female? Fellow leaders, we all serve one God who pours His blessings out on everyone. Spiritual leaders, transformed by the Spirit of God, should share this character of God, should share this deep and essential view of equality, and they express it in their leadership. May this study on women leadership find the character of God in us in our leadership journey. And may we be godlike in our view of both male and female. As God sees, may you, fellow leader, also see. God bless you. Hello, fellow leaders. If you have been blessed with the devotional that you have just heard, don't forget to like, share, or subscribe. Because when you do that, more people, more leaders will be blessed with the same blessing that you have experienced. In YouTube channel, click subscribe to Good Shepherd Consultants. God bless you.